Hi folks, I'm Nathan with Two Guys in a Ride, and today we are here in Des Moines, Iowa at the Concours d'Elegance, and we're here with Eric. Eric, what is this beautiful car behind us?
Yeah, thank you. My name's Eric McGain. This is a 1964 Ford Galaxie 500. They made about 1 million of these Galaxies in 1964, about 1 million full-size Fords, but they made very few with the 427 cubic inch power plant. So this is a special Galaxie.
Man, I tell you what, I love the whole chrome front. It just looks beautiful, and especially with that black paint. It's just a stunning contrast.
Yeah, black is a really difficult car to restore, and it was born black with a red interior, so we kept it. You have to keep it black with a red interior.
Oh, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
Sure.
But since you mentioned that 427, can we take a look under the hood?
Let's do it.
Here, I can hold that for you if you need. Well, Eric, had I known the engine would be this dirty, I probably wouldn't have had you open the hood. Okay, do you eat lunch off this every day or what?
Yeah, I try to keep it clean enough that it looks the way that it was born.
Man, so do you know approximately how many of these were made with the 427?
Yes, that's an interesting question. Ford has many production records that we know of. We know Mustang production records, we know Thunderbird production records, but many of the Galaxie records were lost. So we do know is that they probably made about 2,000 of these 427 engines total, okay. But we know that maybe 500, 600 or so were actually single four-barrel Q-code 427 engines.
Okay, so this is like maybe one of possibly 500, 600.
That's the number is estimated, and I want to emphasize that.
Right, we understand that, but that speaks to its rarity.
Exactly.
Now, have you made any modifications to the original engine?
This engine is exactly the way it was born. So this car was assembled the week that Kennedy was assassinated, November 23rd, 63 or so. It was assembled that week, and it was... Ford wasn't stamping VIN numbers on the engines in 1964. Okay. So I can't look at the engine and say the VIN number is correct. Right. What I can do is I can look at all the date codes. Ford was stamping date codes on their engines. Okay. They'd assemble arguably a month before the car was assembled. Okay. And this engine has all the correct date codes from October of 1963 okay. that would align with a numbers matching 1964 Ford Galaxie.
Oh. So you've done your homework on this.
It's exactly the way it was when it was born, to my best knowledge. Yeah.
Okay. So every owner has a story about how they bought their car.
Sure.
So how did you get? Let's close the hood.
Yeah, of course.
I'll ask that question again. We'll get that for you.
That's good. Thank you.
All right. So every owner has a story about how they acquired their car.
Sure.
What's the story with this?
Yeah. So I've restored 64 Galaxies before, and I tool around town in my 64 Galaxie. And I was contacted by a woman. She said, "I have a Galaxie. You should come look at it." And she said it was a 1968 Galaxie. I didn't know she knew exactly what she had, but I went and looked at it. It turned out to be this beautiful 1964 Galaxie, but it had a lot of rust and it had some issues. I mean, it was an old car. Right. It had been owned by one family for 50 years, and they drove it doggedly, and they loved it doggedly. So she contacted me and said, "We're ready to move on from this car. You have Galaxies. You've restored Galaxies. You should take a look at our Galaxie, and you should buy this car and think about restoring it." So that's where the original family of 50 years had offered this car to me. Again, I had to go through some channels and through some middlemen to actually get that deal done. Okay. But at the end of the day, we have a bare bones 427 Galaxie that is worth restoring, and that's what I started with.
Okay. Wow. Now you actually have traced all the owners of this car because you are an owner number.
Well, of this car, I am owner number 2.
Okay.
I'm owner number 2.
Oh, that's his other car.
And yeah.
All right.
An excellent distinction.
All right. So we'll just ask. You are owner number what on this car?
I'm owner number 2.
You are owner number 2. Mm-hmm. And you do have, like you mentioned, a number of other Galaxies.
Yes.
And you've done some amazing work on those as well. In fact, tracing owners way back.
Right. So I specialize in digging up ownership history. It's one of my hobbies on this, along with restoring cars. Another one of my hobbies is looking up the history of these cars, finding the original owners, and then interviewing them.
Wow.
So, and I've done that with some clients. I've done that for some friends, and I always get to the bottom of it. Maybe I'm rolling the dice, but I've always gotten to the bottom of it.
So, and you already knew the owner of this one because you talked to them. They were the
This
ones that
one was no
contacted
exception. Yeah, so I found out that the original owner was a Navy serviceman. He came off the ship in California in the San Jose area. He walked across the street to the Ford dealership, and he saw this car sitting in the showroom. He purchased it. He enjoyed it around California a little bit for a year or two, and he took it back to Iowa.
Okay. Now, you said the car originally was black and red.
Correct.
Black exterior, red interior. So you've obviously, this has all been redone because it would have been rusted.
It was a rough car. Yeah.
Okay. So, did you do the restoration? Did you do the restoration, or did you hire somebody to do that for you?
Yeah, so I did all the work on this car myself. I did everything except for the body and paint.
Okay.
And the actual boring and honing of the engine, of the machine work of the engine. I had that done. Everything else I did myself, meaning dented out the trim, right? Detailed the suspension. I mean, finished the interior. Literally every aspect of this car was my handiwork in the evenings after my normal job was concluded.
Oh wow! So this isn't your full-time job. This is a hobby.
This is a hobby, yeah.
Man, I step around the side here. I absolutely love the. It looks like a satin chrome. You got two different colors.
Yep. So it's a stainless piece of trim. You have to take all the dents out of that, and then you apply the argent silver back over the top of that real carefully. And then apply the emblems over the top of the argent.
Man. Now, I would imagine that there were just a lot of Galaxie 500s made, so it wasn't real hard to source the basic parts that would have, like your writing here on the side.
Well, it was a full-size Ford, and it was a family vehicle. It was a luxury vehicle, but it was also a family vehicle.
Yeah.
These cars were definitely used, and I'm surprised today it's not that easy to find some of these pieces.
Okay.
Maybe your Mustangs, I'll say, you can buy some reproduction pieces, but on these Galaxies, there's very few pieces that are available
as reproductions
externally trim wise. Yeah,
interesting. So then you kind of have to do a hunt in the junkyard and go looking. Okay. The paint job is just amazing. Black is a really hard color to do. I mean, paint's hard to do it right, but black, you notice everything. And that whoever you had do it, you picked the right person.
Yeah, Robinson Restoration in Ryan, Iowa painted the car for me, and Chris is a guy I trust with all of my cars.
All right, and that's 10% off Eric's next project, just so you know. Okay, let's talk about the back here a minute.
Sure.
All right, this is a huge. That's like another little car in the back. Let's open up the trunk and just. All right, so wow. I mean, they're just so massive. All right, so you have the bumper jack.
Yeah, so
is that? Am I seeing that right?
Yep, that's the original bumper jack.
That clean.
There's a trick to really nest it all in there, and once you get it in there, you really never want to take it out again. You hope that you never have to use one of these bumper jacks. I've only heard horror stories of their actual application.
Okay. What about the spare tire? Is that original to the car?
So the spare tire, we're running the original bias ply tires made by Coker. That is a reproduction of the original, but I have on the build sheet, they describe, which I have for this car, they describe which wheel it came with. In fact, it had the white wall tire was factory correct, straight from the factory. So we mirrored that exactly when we.
So that's really what it would have looked like.
Yes,
You're seeing
and confirmed with some of the original illustrations and things that go.
Were they in that good of a shape, or did you have to get reproduced ones?
Thankfully, they reproduce some of the stickers, and the ones they don't reproduce, I reproduce them myself. I have some manufacturers that make those. Yeah,
nice. What now? And this would have come just kind of with this. So kind of almost it's not a cardboard. What is it?
Yeah, it's different. It's they make a vinyl reproduction, but I made sure to get the correct fiber reproduction.
Yeah.
I paid a lot extra for it. It's the little details like that that I think really bring a restoration together.
Yeah. I mean, not only that, but the 5 bodies you stack and you're going to have a comfortable lay. I mean, what can you say?
You can go to the movie theater and you can bring as many friends with as you want. One price.
We can close that down. Just like the chrome work on the front grille, I love it in the back. I love the circular taillights.
Yeah, so today at the Des Moines Concours d'Elegance, we're in the Space Age Collectibles class, which really, I think, features some of the Space Age styling that would have been common from about 58 until about 68. And being 1964, they featured those turbine-style taillights. The standard base model Galaxie would have had a turbine-style hubcap on it.
Okay.
So there's some other space age styling that goes along with these Galaxies.
I love the backup lights are built right into that.
Right.
All right, we'll walk up on this other side here. You know, had the car had any body damage? You mentioned taking out dents.
The car had never been popped, you know, it never been hit. It was just a solid car that had some rust and some water collecting.
Okay.
One of the examples I'll give you is there was a bird's nest that had developed up underneath the inside of the headliner, and it was using a little porthole right here that had rusted through. So just one more example that this car was
just really
it was a rough car. I would say people would argue that it was too far gone. And I would also argue that was part of the challenge of why I committed to bringing this car back. Yeah.
Okay. Now, on the inside, let's talk about this for a minute. So on the interior, which is beautiful, it's so fun to step back in history and actually see something that would have looked like it probably did on the showroom floor.
Exactly, yeah.
That is just, so thank you.
Of course.
On behalf of the rest of us. Okay, so the dash is what you would have seen originally in the Galaxie 500.
Correct.
Okay, so there's nothing added on there besides the plaque that's above the steering wheel. Is that something different?
So that is a really interesting detail, and I wanted to bring some attention to that. When I got this car, it had the little placard there.
Really?
It wasn't the type of thing that the Navy serviceman, his name's Merland. It wasn't the type of thing Merland would have added. He was a restrained guy. He's not going to put placards on. So either the original dealer added that, or it came from the factory. I can't imagine. I believe that placard, which it says, warning, do not overspeed engine when downshifting. I believe that came from the dealer. They probably put that on there as a liability, maybe because of some warranty issue they were experiencing.
Yeah.
So
But that's not common.
I restored the original tag and I put it back on there with the two-sided tape, just like it was when I got the car.
Okay, but on your other Galaxie 500s, does any one of them have that on there?
I've never seen anything quite like that before. I've seen it on some tractors, actually, being in Iowa. I've seen it on some tractors have that sort of warning sticker, and I wonder if maybe that came from one of those applications. Being that this car was, again, loved by one family for 50 years, and that label was there when I got the car, it had to go back on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I had to go back.
I love you keep that sort of that heritage with it. Now, how many gears does it have?
So that's a 4-speed.
Okay.
That's a 4-speed top-loader transmission. About midway year through 64, Ford was having some warranty issues with the T10 transmission, so they issued, which they were farming out to another subcontractor. They created their own in-house top-loader 4-speed transmission. It was a bulletproof transmission. This was one of the first cars to get that midway through the year in 64. And there's special codes and things on the transmission that indicate it is the correct. There's special codes on that transmission that indicate it is correct for this car, labeled HEH-H. Those are the magic letters.
Okay, interesting. Now, right below the speedometer, you've got a series of pull knobs, twist knobs. Can you run us through a little bit about what those are? Starting on the left side of the steering wheel?
So there's the light switch, and each one of these has its own trick to actually disassembling or reassembling. None of these switches come apart very easily. They're all completely different. They're puzzles, and you got to figure out how to do it. Yeah, the headlight switch is on the left-hand side. It's important not to leave those headlights on because your battery will go dead. There's no notification of that. And then we have some air knobs, which these cars, air conditioning was a super rare option. You see it on some of these beautiful cars today, and they're adding it if they can afford it. This car wasn't born with air conditioning, so we don't have air conditioning, but we do have these really powerful air draws that come out from underneath the dash. And it feels like there's no glass on the windshield. There's so much air that sucks through, and you just have to pull that knob out a couple inches. You have your left air,
and it opens up a mechanical
vent.
You
have your right air, and you have a mechanical vent. Yeah, and then the lighter switch, which you could actually pull that out and charge a phone if you wanted to. It's got the
12 volt
the 12 volt power source there. Yeah. The trick there is to make sure the thing actually works. Right, you put it in, it gets hot, and then it pops when it's done. You got to make sure it doesn't fly out. And
right, because then it will actually go on the seat.
Oh yeah,
the spring loaded ones.
It's real finicky. Again, restoration details are important, and all this stuff works. And then the key, which
if you don't know what that is, it's used to start the car.
Well, I want to draw one attention to this, and that's the fact that in the 70s, guys would have a couple beers and drive this car around, and they could not find where that key goes. and there were key marks all over the dash as they're trying to fit that key in there. And I can only imagine how drunk you would need to be to do that. And I'm thankful this car will never suffer that fate again.
Yeah.
Thank God it survived this long.
Now, next to it, you have, must be a climate control?
Yeah, so there's the heater.
Yep.
Then there's a AM radio.
Okay.
FM was a super rare option. FM was new in 64. They didn't really have very many radio stations in 64 for an FM.
Okay.
And then the clock, which is restored to the highest level.
And then your glove compartment?
Yeah, the glove compartment. Just a little bit of space in there for just your insurance, and that's where I found all the original owner information in that glove box.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fascinating. Okay, the seats, of course, you had restored, but these would, you've picked out stuff that would be what was originally there? Or?
Yeah, I'm thankful that there's some really high quality vinyl reproduction seats available.
Okay.
It's just a matter of installing them yourself and making sure that you get all the right badges and all these right little square badges in the right place, and make sure that they are firmly attached and they don't fly off when you when you sit in them. And there's a lot there.
Now I'll put in one more thing. And first of all, you got two cranks.
Yep.
So this one was for the
vent window.
The vent window, and then this one down here was for the main window.
Correct.
And then you have what looks like an accelerator pedal on the door handle, but that's just your opening.
It's right at the right level where if you lift your knee up, you're looking off to the right, and you lift your knee up, you will trigger that door to open. It's right at the right level where it's super dangerous.
Okay.
They couldn't get away with that today.
Good to know. It's your fast escape while driving.
It only needs to happen one time before it doesn't happen again.
So before we move back to the front, let me ask you a question. Since you collected several cars and restored them,
sure.
What kind of advice would you give someone who's just starting in a classic car restoration? They got their car, that's their first one. Anything from your experience you would say, do this, or
sure.
here's my, okay?
Yeah, it's really easy to fall into the trap of buying the cheapest car that maybe comes to you, or the cheapest car that's available. Maybe there's a lot of rust in it. My advice would be to buy the nicest car you can afford. It doesn't need to be a restored car, but certainly the nicest car you can afford. And if you're going to restore that, start with the best starting point you can, because you will pay on the back end for all of those sins up front.
Okay.
I think that would be
good advice.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Let's go back to the front here, and I'm going to let you stand back here.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you about your favorite memory. We doing okay for time?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Eric, what is one of your favorite memories, just one of them, with this car?
Yeah, so I've had a lot of the 64 Galaxies. This car has been, the most rewarding thing has been meeting the people who come to these shows, and they sit down and they say, you know what, I had one of these when I was 16. This is the car I got married in, or this is the car that I drove to high school in. And you just keep hearing those stories, and each one's a little different, a little more interesting. There's different takes on that story, but I love that story. The thing that got me into these Galaxies is my dad had full-size Fords growing up, and of course convertibles. He needed to have convertibles. No matter how much I polish on this, it'll never be a convertible. But he would put the top down to go across the street. And as a little kid, I was always two-tone. I'd be red on one side and white on the other from falling asleep in the backseat of his convertibles. Yeah. And that's really where this whole full-size Ford restoration hobby came from, was from my dad.
Oh, that is just awesome.
Yeah.
Eric, thank you so much for sharing your story and your car with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for watching.